Hi, I'm Jill, and welcome to Hotel ISO 36 or so hours on, 40 hours on. So, what's it like traveling through a pandemic, and what is hotel isolation like? The first thing I can say is that before I got compassionate leave, permission to leave Australia on compassionate grounds to return to New Zealand, and scored a lucky flight on a plane because they're getting rarer than hen's teeth at the moment. I watched quite a few hotel isolation videos. I'm just apologies for the look. I've got ISO hair and ISO face right now. That's just how it's going to roll for another couple of weeks. Uh, I watched as many videos as I could, and I think it's mostly for Auckland ones because that was meant to be my destination, and some Sydney ones as well because I may end up back there again. Now, the problem is that where you end up is a total lottery, and every isolation hotel and every wing or part of an isolation hotel is different. So I thought I'd make this quick video to tell you about what my experience and what it's like so far. So I was flying from Sydney to Auckland, which was the only destination I could get. My hometown's actually Wellington. And when we landed on the plane, it was quite a big jet. It was a 787 333 configuration, and there was only 30 passengers. I actually had the entire first row of economy, row 35, all 9 seats were to myself, which was pretty awesome, made me feel really safe. The service was as usual. There were no kind of real modifications. It's just that the crew wore gloves and masks. That's it. So we had to stay in our seat when we touched down in Auckland. The air bridge was open, and a delightful young policeman got on board and explained that we needed to stay in our seats. Soon we would be disembarking row by row or group by group, and we'd be processed in Auckland, have the health checks, do immigration, biosecurity, and then we'd go to Christchurch. So we were being chartered a flight to Christchurch because Auckland is full. Now, a New Zealand guy at check-in in Sydney actually said that Auckland is the busiest international airport in the world at the moment. I would have thought Doha was pretty busy. Qatar's flying heaps. I don't know if that's true, but definitely in the Southern Hemisphere it probably is. And they're full. So we had heard stories when I booked of people being bussed for 3 hours to Hamilton or Rotorua. And that was like my worst case scenario because you've already had a 3-hour flight plus all the stuffing around and early check-in because that's what they were telling you to do. And then to transit and sit on a bus, probably a little bit too close to people for 3 hours didn't sound great. So 2 hours in transit in Auckland and a charter flight down to Christchurch was all right. But here I am at a very beige, anonymous airport hotel. So this is a bit different to what I saw before. I saw people in nice 5-star Auckland or Sydney hotels swanning around in their bathrobes, being able to have a choice of a number of different foods off a selected menu each day. So where I am, there's pluses and minuses. It's a pretty ordinary beige room. Upside is I have masses of light, so I've actually had to pull the filter curtain so my face isn't totally wiped out. Now, like a lot of videos I've seen of hotel isolation, yes, I do look over a car park. However, it's quite an interesting car park. It's the National Antarctic Centre here in Christchurch. We're basically on the edge of the runway or the edge of the airport area, sandwiched between this kind of popular tourist destination, a popular place with kids, and a supermarket. For those who know Christchurch from the exercise area, I can see that, that vintage plane that welcomes you as you drive the road up to the airport. So my isolation, so I've got a room that windows don't open, but it's not airless. I've got sunshine. It's been pretty quiet. I get to watch, yesterday was a Sunday. I was watching, friends meet up in the car park before going to the centre and hugging each other. That was my highlight yesterday. Watching those things that never seemed extraordinary before COVID, before the pandemic. But here in New Zealand, they have zero community spread, and they're going to keep it that way, hopefully, with their hotel isolation. It was really lovely watching that. I find it quite delightful watching people come and go. They also have snowmobiles that they take the kids for a ride outside on. It's very, very sweet. Looking to the northeast, I get to see the most spectacular sunset so far. Both mornings have been the most spectacular reds and orange and pink. And sunrises between about 7 and 7:30 here. It's pretty good. The upside, I think, for this facility, as unglam as it is that we actually, because it's kind of really in an industrial estate area, there's quite a bit of space around it. All the rooms are being used for hotel isolation, so there are no other people coming and going. And because of that, they've been able to fence off quite a big car park area, and even some green spaces within some of the wings of the buildings. And we have access pretty much from 6 till 6, so sunrise to sunset. Actually it's dark at 6, so I haven't tried that time yet. We can come and go to the outside area as much as we like, as long as we hand sanitize and wear a mask, and if we speak to anyone, we keep 2 meters distance. And we don't have to exercise. Like I can go and sit and read or whatever I like. It is, of course, midwinter here. The kind of morning temperature has been about 10 degrees so far, which I hear is a bit warmer than Sydney at the moment. And maybe we'll get to 16, but it is, as long as you rug up, it's quite pleasant. And to have that psychological, my biggest fear was we're going to be locked up or we have very limited access to outside. It makes it so much easier. So if I really wanted to, I could spend most of the day outside doing whatever I liked. The biggest downside is because this facility is absolutely rammed with, it's full, and the internet's a bit crap. I have no reliable internet connection, which makes work a bit tricky. Usually if I want to make contact with my friends, I've got to go outside, but that's not suitable at night or to have privacy. That's why consulting is just being put on hold for these 2 weeks. So what is life like? Look, I'll check back in. I'm sure I'll do another video in a few days. So far it's okay. It's about rolling with everything. Life is beyond your control, and I also think for people in Melbourne who may have their whole home right now, they're limited to just 1 hour to leave the house and a curfew from 8 o'clock at night. For me, unless I'm unlucky enough to pick up the virus on the flight, we were all wearing masks, by the way. Almost all of us were wearing masks, so hopefully not. Unless I was, unlucky enough to have got the virus, I'll be out of here. I know I'll be out of here in exactly 14 days down to the minute if I choose to. If I can get a flight out of Christchurch because it's the night time, that's another story. Look, it's just what it is. It could be a lot worse. And I'm going to come back and talk a bit more at another time about the food, because just as everyone's hotel rooms and facilities are different, the food's going to be really different to where you are. So the takeaway from this is talking about travel in a pandemic and hotel isolation is be as flexible as you can, lower your expectations and see, things like, if you have a view of a sunrise or a sunset or green spaces, it's a bonus. And find the joy in small things. I'll be back with some more travel during pandemic updates, and I hope you have a good day or night wherever you are.